Next on Watch the Damn Tape, we're going to go over the first round of the NFL Draft. What it do, peeps? It's the Beat Chef with Watch the Damn Tape. Hit that like, that share, that subscribe button. New subscribers, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the show. Old subscribers, thank you for helping me continue to build this platform. We just crossed over 300, still pushing towards the 500, still pushing out this content. I appreciate you guys. Let's get into this NFL draft. With the first pick in the draft, Tennessee Titans take Cam Ward out of Miami, Florida. They needed a quarterback. If you watched Tennessee last year and you watched Will Levis, that's all you got to say. Will Levis. Will Levis done had two years, and he hasn't shown much. This will add some pressure to that QB room. They got Brandon Allen on the team. Brandon Allen's basically just a backup. So it's going to be between Ward and Levis. This should put some pressure on Levis. Number 1 pick coming in. Will Levis was the number 2 pick when he got drafted. They gave him time. Will Levis said that he can't say that they didn't give him time to take the job and own the job. So this is a good pick by the Titans. You got to have a quarterback in the NFL. And especially in the division they're in, that AFC South, you still got Trevor Lawrence. So you got teams that got quarterbacks. You still got to deal with Houston. And that's the thing. You still got to deal with C.J.S.L.E. So you got to have a quarterback that's competent to match up with Houston. It's all about beating the Texans. But this is a good pick by the Tennessee Titans. With the second pick in the draft, Cleveland trades out of that spot and moves down. Jacksonville moves up. They take Travis Hunter. Jacksonville automatically get an A+ in this draft just because they just got 2 players with 1 pick. You got a starting wide receiver and you got a starting cornerback. And you already got a quarterback. You got Trevor Lawrence. You got Brian Allen on one side. You can put Travis Hunter in the slot. You can put him outside. That AFC South is going to be a monster. Plus, he plays defense, and you have a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback on the Houston Texans in C.J.S.L.E. that you got to stop. This fills 2 big needs for Jacksonville. This is a great pick. Happy for Travis Hunter. He's sitting up there. I'll probably bring him down. Since he done got picked, bring him down in the front row. But great pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Adam Schefter dropped how much the Browns got from Jacksonville, and Jacksonville gave up a lot to get Hunter. Of course, they gave up the 2, a 4th round pick this year, a 6th round pick to Jacksonville for the number 5th pick. They also got a 2nd round pick, a 4th round pick, and a 1st in 2026. Jacksonville gave up a lot for Hunter. A lot. With the 3rd pick in the draft, the New York Giants select Abdul Carter, linebacker out of Penn State. Premier pass rush. Supreme pass rush. And you need it. Every team in this division has a quarterback that's been a Pro Bowler. And you got one quarterback in Jalen Hurts that's been to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. So you have to put pressure on a quarterback. Especially in this division, they're going to chunk the ball up a lot. And you're going to need somebody to put pressure, make that ball come out a little bit quicker. This guy does it. This is a good pick by the Giants. Still don't like that quarterback situation. Still shaky. You're going in there with an older Russell Wilson. He didn't look like the Seattle young Russell Wilson. He looked like an old man last year at times. But maybe they'll address that later on. With the 4th pick, the New England Patriots selected Will Campbell. He's a tackle out of LSU. You got a young quarterback, and you got a chop suey line in front of him. Morgan Moses, Mike Onwe, Garrett Bradbury, Leighton Robinson, and Vidarian Loa. You got a couple guys that are 6 round picks starting. So you gotta bring in somebody with a higher caliber. You got Drake May. You want to try to develop Drake May. So I could see this pick, and you take the best tackle off the board. So it was a good pick for New England. You can't miss by protecting your quarterback. With the 5th pick in the draft, Cleveland, who traded with Jacksonville, took Mason Graham. He's a defensive tackle out of Michigan. I get it. You're in a division with Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and freaking Baltimore. Yes, Baltimore run the ball like crazy. Yes, he's going to be next to Superman at defensive end in Cleveland. But man, this pick, I know Cleveland fans are probably livid because you had Travis freaking Hunter sitting right there, and then you pick a DT. The tail of the tape will pan out on which one of these guys did you miss. They haven't yet released the compensation that Cleveland got from Jacksonville to move back. But this pick, I'm sorry, Cleveland. It's the reason why y'all, you got Myles Garrett. You got Superman. Be happy. And you still got Deshaun Watson. Be happy. Sorry. With the 6th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders selected Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise State. Woo, man. He nice. He a Texas kid. I always root for Texas kids. I just don't believe in picking running backs this high. I would have picked another position. But it's a need position for the Raiders. You got Raheem Mostert as your starting running back on the depth chart, and you got a bunch of scrubs behind him. You could have, a wide receiver, possibly Teletero if you wanted to go that high, move back a little. I just think you could have got a running back. This is a deep running back draft. You could have got a running back late in the 1st round, late in the 2nd round, and got a position of need, and maybe picked up an extra pick or two. So he'll pan out, but that's kind of high for a running back. It just makes me think back to Ezekiel Elliott with the Dallas Cowboys. Came out like a ball of thunder, and then eventually just faded on as his career went on. But yeah. Raiders with a running back. Raiders always do something to stir up the draft. Always. With the 7th pick, the New York Jets selected Armand Minbu, an offensive tackle out of Missouri. Boy, a big kid. 6'4", 332. That boy. It was a load. It's a neat pick. Aaron Glenn, this is his first pick. Aaron Glenn knows how to. He's been with Dan Campbell long enough. You got to build them trenches. And you got to realize Tyron Smith was on his last legs playing for the Jets last year. So Mimbu will be able to come in, play right tackle immediately, and give them stability, especially with them having a new quarterback in Justin Fields. So this was a good pick, and I expect to see Aaron Glenn address the trenches on both sides of the ball and build those trenches up in his first draft as the head coach of the New York Jets. Shout out to Aaron Glenn. Go Aggies. With the 8th pick in the draft, the Carolina Panthers select Tetero McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. 6'4", big, 219. Built like basically like a Calvin Johnson type, big receiver. Your quarterback 5'11". You had Adam Thielen was your best receiver, and he's old. You got Xavier Legette. Now you got Xavier Legette, and you got this kid. You got 2 big receivers that your small quarterback can get to. McMillan can go up and high point the ball. I remember they played Colorado. He was giving Travis Hunter the work that first year that Colorado that Dion took over. He was giving them the business. High pointing the ball, which it's gonna go well for the third year of Bryce Young. You gotta put weapons. You gotta put weapons around your quarterback, and I'm glad that Carolina's doing it quick. They're doing it faster than they did with Cam Newton when he was the quarterback. They relied a little bit too much on Cam. I'm glad they're putting weapons around Bryce. Hopefully they get a tight end to help Bryce, and it'd be nice if they got another running back to help out Bryce Young. But this was a great pick. I thought Tatero should have got picked by the Raiders, and he would have fit in well with the Raiders. But this was a great pick. This would have been a great spot for Genty to go, to be honest. This would have been a great spot for him to go as well, but this was an excellent pick by the Carolina Panthers with a quarterback they got. With the ninth pick in the draft, the New Orleans Saints selected Kelvin Banks Jr. He's a tackle from the UT Longhorns, another Texas kid, road grader. They can move this dude inside. He can play inside or outside. He could play inside. They already got two nice tackles on their team. They got Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore now has that Philadelphia Eagle blueprint. Trench warfare. Build that line. Massive. He had the same thing when he was the OC of the Dallas Cowboys, and they had a big dominant line. So Kellen Moore knows that the offense has to have that big, massive line. He loves to run the ball. So this pick was perfect for him in his new head coaching job. Build line, just kind of like Aaron Glenn. This is a great pick. This is a great pick. Great pick. That's why I say, I'm really thinking Shador will either go late one or either early day two. I'm thinking people are just going to get their pieces and then get the quarterbacks later. That's just my hunch. With the 10th pick, the Chicago Bears selected Colston Loveland. He's a tight end out of Michigan. Not the traditional big blocking tight end. He's more of a move guy. You got a young quarterback. You need weapons. You got Roma Aguze last year. You got DJ Moore. You need them. You need them weapons. You got that new coach. You got Ben Johnson. Got that dynamic offense. Multiple pieces at all times, flipping and flopping in and out, different looks. This gonna be nice. It's going to be fun to watch the Bears this season with Ben Johnson, especially when they go at Detroit, and Detroit's you've lost your OC, your DC, and you're losing players. So it's going to be interesting to see the Bears this year in year 2 of Caleb Williams. But this is a good pick. I always like to give a young quarterback weapons quick and earlier in his career. With the 11th pick in the draft, the San Francisco 49ers selected Mikael Williams, a defensive lineman, edge pass rusher from Georgia. Can't go wrong with a Bulldog. Ask the Texas Longhorns about this kid, how he was in their backfield. Going around Banks, who was also a first-round pick. So, Georgia, the last few years, been producing, guaranteed producing defensive players. And this helps the 49ers. They lost a lot of guys. And if you remember when the 49ers were going to the Super Bowl or challenging to go to the Super Bowl, it was funneled by their defense, putting relentless pressure with Bosa and company, Greenlaw, those guys. They've taken some hits. I know a bunch of 49er fans, they super happy about this pick. They're going to be excited. Matter of fact, I believe the 49ers have 11 picks in this draft, so yes, this is going to be a huge one for the 49ers. With the 12th pick in the first round, the Dallas Cowboys select Tyler Booker, a guard from Alabama, road grader, day one starter for the Cowboys. Need pick. Cowboys have historically been pretty good at picking in the first round. Last year they picked the tackle. He's still kind of suspect, but they lost Zach Martin. Zach Martin gonna be a first ballot Hall of Famer. They can plug this kid in. They got a bunch of dudes named Tyler on their O-line. They drafted Tyler Smith a couple years ago to play left guard. To be honest, they should kick him out to play left tackle and move this kid in. to play either one of the guard spots. But the Cowboys needed to build their line because once again, the Eagles got a D line. Eagles got an O line. You got to be able to compete in the trenches. And historically, when the Cowboys were at their successful peaks in franchise history, they had a nice O line, extremely great Hall of Fame line with the Cowboys with Aikman, Emmett, and Michael Irvin. But recent history, yes, this is a great pick by the Cowboys. They can draft linemen well. Their quarterback sucked though. With the 13th pick in the draft, the Miami Dolphins selected Kenneth Grant, a defensive tackle out of Michigan. Boy, a load. 6'4", 330. Can work on his pass rush skills. Good at run stuffing. They're going to give him some moves. But you got to be able to put pressure on that damn quarterback in Buffalo, Josh Allen. So this is a good pick by Miami. There was a couple other guys on the board that I liked a little better than Kenneth Grant, but it was a solid pick. And at this point right now, you just grabbing guys that can play. There's a lot of guys that can start right now. So Kenneth Grant should be able to start for the Dolphins. You're gonna have to work on those moves though. Gonna have to work. You can't bull rush everybody in the NFL. It just don't work like that. With the 14th pick, the Indianapolis Colts selected Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. This kid basically was their whole offense. One-man wrecking crew. Got that height like Gronk, 256, 6'6", big guy. Probably a little faster than Gronk, just not as physical right now as Gronk. But quarterback dream, man. You got a guy that's 6'6", a big target that you can just hit. And whoever the quarterback is, if Anthony Richardson get his head out of his butt, they putting weapons around you, man. You gotta produce at some point, or they gonna move on from you and they gonna get another quarterback. But for right now, whoever, they got a nice weapon in this one. I like this dude. I watched a few of those Penn State games this past season, and they basically tried to get the ball to him any way they could. So I just really paid attention to Warren. But this is a good pick by the Colts, rebuilding that offense. With the 15th pick in the first round, my Atlanta Falcons selected Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. Great pick. His burst off the ball nice. We needed pass rush. We needed linebackers, period. Haven't had a solid, stellar linebacker in a long time. We drafted Vic Beasley a couple years ago. That was a disaster. This is a great pick. This division's wide open. Anybody can win this division. Tampa Bay and Atlanta have been going back and forth the last 2 years, flip-flopping. Both of them been having around 500 records. Tampa Bay went to the playoffs this year. The Falcons went the previous year. And you need to put pressure on Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield is by far the best quarterback in this weak division. Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, Penix, and we don't know what New Orleans is going to have at quarterback. But this is a good pick by the Falcons. With the 16th pick, the Arizona Cardinals selected defensive tackle Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. He got the size, 6'3", 296, got room to grow. Gonna have to develop. Like I said, guys that are picked in the later first round, they can contribute a lot, but a lot of them got something in their games they're gonna have to work on. And Nolan's going to have to work on. They're going to give him time, because you just signed Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell coming back to Arizona basically to finish out his career. Been playing a long time, and he's a big guy. He won't mind taking this kid under his wing and showing him how to play the game. So this is a good pick for the Cardinals. They need to rebuild their defense. They basically play in the West. You gotta stop somebody. You got Seattle. You still got Frisco to deal with. You still have the Rams to deal with. You got quarterbacks in that division. You're gonna have to stop them. Good pick by them. Hopefully they can get something to put around Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is gonna have to come into his own this season. The expectations for him should be way higher. If you seen Kyler Murray in high school, seeing how he struggles in the pros and not doing what we're used to seeing him down here in Texas, it's very odd to see. But hopefully Arizona gets it together. But yeah, that was a solid pick. Solid pick. Can't go wrong with defense. You can't go wrong with building the trenches. With the 17th pick in the first round, the Cincinnati Bengals select Shamar Stewart, a defensive lineman out of Texas A&M. Go Aggies! That's my squad. This kid got a motor. Got a lot of room to grow his game. A lot of room to grow his game. And one good thing about playing in Cincinnati, if the offense is right and the offense is clicking, and Cincinnati's putting points on the board, Cincinnati could be just like the Eagles. D-line, just pin the ears back and go after the quarterback because you got a nice lead. He going to a great. This a good fit for him. Good fit for him. Cincinnati fans, you should be ecstatic. You gonna see production from this kid day one. I promise you that. Good pick, solid pick. Go Aggies! With the 18th pick in the first round of the NFL draft, the Seattle Seahawks selected Gray Zabel, a guard from North Dakota State. They already got they tackles. They drafted Cross last year. You just got a new quarterback, so you want to protect them. Line, you gotta build your line from the inside out. They already got they bookend tackles. Now they got that guard they can plug in and protect their quarterback. Decent pick by them. One of the higher rated guards on the board. Like I said, it's getting towards the almost the end of the first round. So these teams, you're starting to get into the playoff teams that might just need one or two pieces. So it's a good pick by Seattle. With the 19th pick, the Bucks select Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver from Ohio State. If you know anything about Ohio State, they damn near basically now are wide receiver university. Every year they produce a top-notch wide receiver, polished wide receiver that usually comes into the league game ready. This kid will fit in nice with Tampa Bay. You got an established quarterback. You got a dominant number one who's getting older. Mike Evans ain't no spring chicken. Mike Evans is in double digits in years played in the league. So this is a good compliment to him. A complimentary piece. Another weapon, like I said before. NFC South wide open. Wide open. And the Bucks, to me, still are the cream of the crop in the division. They got the best quarterback in the division by far. That gets you into the playoffs. That gets you into the playoff conversation. That gets you into the division winning conversation. And that's all that matters now, is winning your division and getting a ticket to the playoffs. And right now the Bucks are in the driver's seat in the NFC South, in my opinion. But this is a good pick, solid pick. This kid, when you're at Ohio State, you gotta bide your time. You know, they just had Jackson Enigma. They had Marvin Harrison Jr. This another line of good wide receivers from Ohio State. And this kid, well-deserved pick. Good he got drafted this high. With the 20th pick in the first round, the Denver Broncos select Jahdae Barron, the Jim Thorpe winner from the University of Texas. Go Longhorns. Nice pick. You gotta have some guys that can cover. You play Patrick freaking Mahomes. Enough said. You play the Chargers. Enough said. You gotta have corners in this league. He can either start at one corner spot or start in the nickel. You gotta have three corners basically in this league now with these three wide receiver sets that a lot of these teams run. But in particular, you play Patrick Mahomes twice a year. Defense is, as long as Patrick Mahomes is over there breathing and have an arm to throw a football, you must have some guys that can cover wide receivers. Barron can do that. I don't think he should have won the Jim Thorpe, but he's an excellent player. Great pick. Sean Payton, what a great pick. Denver got him. Denver got him a good player, real good player. With the 21st pick in the NFL draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Derek Harmon, a defensive tackle out of Oregon. This is the point of the draft where I'm expecting my buddy to call me because he's a die-hard Steelers fan and he does not watch college football, and he's probably trying to figure out who the hell Derek Harmon is. And then I have to remind him, dude, you got Cameron freaking Hayward playing on your D-line. I said this earlier on Twitter today that I believe if the Steelers do not get Shedeur at 21, the Steelers, and if they want Shedeur, that's the big thing. If they want Shedeur, draft the guy that helps you the most that's not a quarterback. And then in the second round, I would always draft for a position. If it was a guard or a defensive lineman, I would draft them. If the quarterbacks that are after Cam Ward are all close together, you can get them at the bottom of the first. You can pull back into the first round, get your quarterback. That way you can get them on that 5-year and have that 5th-year option. Or you could just get them with that second round pick if you got a high enough pick. I expect in the second round, I expect on day 2 of the draft on Friday, a bunch of QBs to go off the board. Will Howard. I expect Jackson Dart to go either in the late first round or the second round. So if Shedeur doesn't go at this point, which he did not go, I don't see anybody pulling into the first round of the draft Shedeur Sanders. That's just me. I love Shedeur Sanders, love his game, think he's going to have a great career. But you can wait. You can get the guy that you need, the lineman that you need. You gotta be able to protect your quarterback. You gotta be able to protect your quarterback with the defense and the offense, and then you can get your quarterback, especially if your quarterback is not an overly above the top generational talent. Period. That's it. But yeah, Shedeur didn't go at this point. No other team at this point is going to need a quarterback. I mean, you could say the Rams could probably use a quarterback to replace Matt Stafford at some point, but that would be a stretch. They got holes too that they can fill. That's why I say you can fill the higher pressing need. You can still get another year out of Matt Stafford or another quarterback, and then get Shedeur in that round 2. That's why I say his value is later. It gets greater later. That's what people got to realize with Shedeur. I'm watching online and Twitter, and people are going nuts. Jason Whitlock's he's loving it because he just hates Dion and everything about Dion, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, this defensive tackle was needed by Pittsburgh. You got Jason Hayward, and you got to stop freaking Lamar Jackson. Dude, you got to have some. You got to be able to put some pressure and then stop the run. So a defensive tackle is what they needed. With the 22nd pick in the draft, the San Diego. With the 22nd pick in the draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select the Marion Hampton, running back from North Carolina. Speed and power. He got both of them. That's why I said I thought you could wait a while and get your back. That's why I thought the Raiders kind of reached with Genty getting him early. These teams later in the first round, all of them are playoff teams. Only probably lacking 1 or 2 pieces on offense and defense to get them over the hump. And with the Chargers, they didn't really have somebody in the back behind Herbert that was going to be a threat that the defense had to worry about. Now they have Najee Harris and they have Hampton. They got that 2-headed monster. You got a coach in Harbaugh who's going to pound the rock and play defense. And this kid will help him out immensely. This is a good pick by the Chargers, a playoff team, and they'll probably be back in the playoffs this coming year as well. With the 23rd pick in the first round, the Green Bay Packers select Matthew Golden, wide receiver from UT. Green Bay got weapons on either side of Jordan Love. You're not going to be able to double everybody. And Christian Watson could run deep on your ass. Matthew Golden can certifiably shake you and go deep on you. Man, Green Bay ain't nothing to play with. Trust and believe. Trust and believe. They got weapons. Jordan Love got to be ecstatic. Man, I love a team that they got a quarterback and they give him weapons quick. They don't sit there and wait year 5 and 6 and get them some weapons. No, they get them weapons day 1, day 2, day 3. Year 1, year 2, year 3. We're going to keep giving you weapons. We're going to keep feeding you. And you're going to keep scoring points. Man, that NFC Central, man, you got to score. You got to score or get left. Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota gonna really have to score. Minnesota better hope their quarterback comes through and they can score points. Because if not, all the other teams got track meet guys that'll run by you. Woo, this is a good pick. Great pick. Great pick by the Packers. With the 24th pick in the NFL draft, the Minnesota Vikings selected Donovan Jackson, offensive lineman from Ohio State. They're going to need him to come through to protect J.J. McCarthy. Period, point blank. You made an investment in a quarterback and a young one coming off of a knee injury. Good pick, especially for a team that made the playoffs. Even though they're going to have a new quarterback this year, you got to be able to protect your quarterback. This is a good pick. The Houston Texans traded out of the 25th pick and let the Giants move up to the 25th pick. And with the 25th pick, the New York Giants selected Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. I like this kid. I like the way he play. People were shocked. I'm talking to people on Twitter right now. They're trying to figure out why Shedeur hasn't got drafted. I told them, you got to understand, if you watch Colorado football, anybody that watched Colorado football with any objective eye would throw a damn beer can or a beer, whatever. They would throw something at the screen when Shedeur would hold on to the ball too long, trying to hit Travis Hunter, trying to make the big play. Easy money. Dude wide open in the flat. Dude coming across on a crossing route. You could get 5 to 10 yards, keep the chains moving. Shedeur would miss those throws. When Travis Hunter was out a lot of times, Shedeur would struggle. So that's why his stock dropped. Period, point blank. Jackson Dart is equal as talented as Shedeur Sanders. Might have a little bit of a stronger arm. Won't have to start right away in New York. Can sit behind Russell Wilson. This pick that the Giants made, this guy doesn't threaten Russell Wilson. Jackson Dart's not going to come in and take Russell Wilson's job, I don't believe. Not like Justin Fields. Justin Fields could actually play, was proven. Jackson Dart would have to have a hell of a camp. He would have to have a Russell Wilson-like training camp to unseat Russell Wilson like Russell Wilson did when he unseated that one guy that was the quarterback in Seattle that they paid all that money to and Russell Wilson took the job. I don't see that happening, but that's the reason why, folks. Jackson Dart was the pick. Good pick. The 26th pick belonged to the Rams. They traded it to my Falcons. My Falcons drafted James Pierce, outside linebacker, defensive, basically D lineman, edge rusher from the University of Tennessee. Great pick, rangy guy. They already got guys like this that are older, and they're retooling a position, D line, defensive end, pressure on the quarterback. Like I said, Baker Mayfield is the class in the division as far as quarterbacks. You have to be able to put some heat on Baker Mayfield because your number one competition is the Bucs, then followed by Carolina, and then New Orleans. I see New Orleans taking a step back this year, especially with the David Carr health situation and him having the bum shoulder. They haven't quite drafted a quarterback. This could be a possible spot. New Orleans could be a possible spot for Shedeur. Hell, as a Falcon fan, I'd be scared to play Shedeur. in New Orleans with Chris Olave, and you got his name escapes me, running back, but he's awesome. But that's a dangerous team with the right quarterback. But yeah, James Pierce Jr. Love this pick. Falcons rebuilding the defense. Good pick by the Falcons. With the 27th pick in the draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. The rich keep getting richer. Baltimore gonna always hit with a defensive guy and a safety. They scheme. They when you get to these teams are perennial playoff teams, and the reason why is because they have a method to what they do. They get specific guys that do specific things, and Malachi's one of those guys. Smart guy, instinctive, another Georgia Bulldog. I told you can't go wrong with Georgia. I stay away from Boise State, especially if I'm a Cowboy fan. But anyway, this kid can play, plug and play dude. Gonna play all over the place. Can guard the slot, can guard the tight end. Great pick. They just these guys, man. This is my buddy. I told you I got a friend that's a Steeler fan. He wonders why these teams keep winning. It's because of stuff like this. Teams that can draft at the end of the first round and get talented pieces and plug them in, and then they never miss a beat. Never miss a beat. That's the difference between an organization like the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens can get 5 picks and hit on 3, and Cleveland can get 15 picks and miss on all 15 and be back there next year with another set of 15 picks and might get one guy. That's the difference. Organization and a commitment to the plan. The Ravens, I mean, like I say, this class act. Great pick. Great pick. With the 28th pick in the draft, the Detroit Lions selected Tyleik Williams, a defensive lineman from Ohio State. This was a need pick. If you remember, the Washington Commanders damn near ran for 200 yards on the Lions in the playoffs. Jaden Daniels was killing them. Brian Robinson was killing them. I mean, they got DJ Reader starting that defensive tackle. DJ Reader's getting long in the tooth at basically at that nose tackle position. So this was a neat pick. Could they have got him probably in the second round or got somebody about the same? Yeah, but they needed to. Like I said, these are luxury picks for these teams. These teams don't really have, but maybe 1 or 2 weaknesses. Like I've said before, this was a need. This was a hole. They filled the hole with a younger player. And like I said, they got pass rushes. If they get 3 sacks on the season out of Williams in his career, they'd be doing good. But if he can stop that run and clog up stuff and occupy space and let those linebackers come in and fill, he doing his job. That's all they want him to do. Space eater. That's it. 6'3", damn near 340 pounds. That's a big ass boy. That's a big kid to be up in that middle of that line. So like I said, luxury picks. Washington ate them up last year. Go watch that tape. Washington wasn't playing with them. Dismantled them. And this was one of the damn near the number 1 team in the NFC for most of the season. They got throttled in the playoffs. It's a good. This is a value pick and a need pick. With the 29th pick in the first round, the Washington Commanders select Josh Conley Jr., offensive tackle from the University of Oregon. Solid pick for them. You got Jaden Daniels. At all costs, must protect him. You got the left side wrapped up. You got a decent run game. You like to run Jaden Daniels every once in a while. This kid is huge, almost 6'6", over 300 pounds, and can move. You got to protect your young quarterback. You play the Eagles 2 times a year. The Eagles got headhunters across the whole line, and they got linebackers that'll come and get you too. So you got to protect your quarterback. NFC East football always been physical. It's starting to get back to that. So you got to be able to protect Jaden Daniels. arguably 1, 2 is debatable between him and Hurts on the as far as the rankings of quarterbacks in the NFC East. But yeah, you got to protect Jaden Daniels. This was a good pick. Trench warfare is where it starts and where it ends at in the NFL. So you got to have something solid on the lines. This is a good pick. With the 30th pick in the draft, the Buffalo Bills select Maxwell Harrison, cornerback out of Kentucky. Kid can fly, good size, 5'11", almost 6 foot tall. You need to be able to recover. You need to cover Worthy with Kansas City. You got Cheetah in your own division. You got some guys in your own division now in the AFC East that can play. You need a kid that can cover. You gotta have some coverage. Like I say, teams in this at this end of the round only have like 1 or 2 glaring weaknesses, and most of those weaknesses are the reason why they got bounced out the playoffs, and that was what happened to Buffalo. You got to be able to cover. You got to be able to give your pass rush time to get to that quarterback. So this was a good pick for Buffalo, especially at the end of the first round, to get a guy that you can put in and pencil in as a day one starter going into next season. Solid pick by Buffalo. With the 31st pick, the Kansas City Chiefs swapped picks with the Philadelphia Eagles. And with the 31st pick, the Eagles select Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. My God, the rich keep getting richer. It's like I said, it's almost just like Buffalo. Teams got the organization structure from the top to the bottom, and they have a plan, and they pick certain guys, and you can see Campbell, just like any other linebackers, like Nakobe Dean from Georgia, it's almost like they got a blueprint. Hey man, we're gonna get this guy, we're gonna plug him in. He gone, we're gonna plug this guy in. This guy. And these kids are gonna produce. Factory. Pressure guy. And you gotta, like I said, every quarterback in the NFC East is Pro Bowl caliber or has made a Pro Bowl. You got 2 quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls in Hurts and Russell Wilson. Dak's made a Pro Bowl, and so has Jaden Daniels. He's made the Pro Bowl. So you got Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks, and you need guys to put pressure. And you notice in this draft, excuse me, everybody's going back to the old model. Yeah, you can get your wide receiver. You might, you got a young quarterback, you need to get your receivers. Yes. Everybody's building those trenches back up like it used to be because they saw what Philadelphia did. And everybody's copying that Philadelphia blueprint. Philadelphia had a factory, cultivated a roster, had guys that were backups that would come in, and there was no drop-off. That D-line was putting relentless pressure on Mahomes that whole entire Super Bowl rotation, that whole D-line. Most of the time you have a D-line, it's a drop-off. This defensive tackle is not as good as your starter. The defensive ends that were the backups were putting on pressure just as much as those first-string guys. Everybody's getting back to that mode. Campbell's just another line the line of linebackers that's going to be plug and play. Come in on that second unit. Come in on third downs and blitz. Great pick. Coming in the first. And didn't really give up much to move up. Once again, organizations with a winning culture, it starts from the bottom. And the Eagles, they got the blueprint. With the 32nd and final pick of the first round, the Kansas City Chiefs select Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from the Ohio State University. A lot of Buckeyes. A lot of Big Ten kids in that first round. Big guy coming off a knee injury. This is a future pick. You could stash this guy and he'll be there to protect Patrick Mahomes pretty much for the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career. The value you can't pass up on this. I mean, the guy would have been, if healthy, he would have been a higher pick. So it's a good pick for Kansas City Chiefs, especially at the end of the first round. A glaring weakness, clearly a glaring weakness with this team. As you saw in the Super Bowl, they was getting their butts whooped up front by the Eagles, severely whooped. up front. So you got to be able to protect Patrick Mahomes. That's priority number one in Kansas City, protecting Mahomes. So I give them a solid pick for Kansas City. And that concludes the first round. Looking forward to day two. Day two gonna be interesting. Day two gonna be very interesting. I see a lot of QBs going off the board. This is a deep draft, folks. This is a deep draft. Teams gonna be stocking up on players, but this is a deep draft. Get to see where Shador is gonna go. It's gonna be real interesting. I still say Saints. I still say Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh could probably wait and just sit at their pick if the Saints don't come in and get them before that. The Steelers could just basically wait till that 83rd pick in that round and grab Shador at a lower value, and you're not giving up a lot of capital, and it's not a lot of investment. People don't understand that, man. It's a lot to draft a kid in the first round and you missed. I mean, Pittsburgh drafted freaking the little hand dude that was the backup quarterback for the Eagles. I can't even think of the kid's name. He's so damn terrible. He played for Pittsburgh University, had them small hands, and they missed on him big time. But yeah, it happens. But Ryan Pickett. Pickett. Yeah, Ryan Pickett, or whatever the name is. Kenny Pickett, sorry. Kenny Pickett. They missed on Kenny Pickett. And during the broadcast, I'm not sure if you watched it, but I heard one of the commentators, I think it was, it wasn't, one of the commentators, I can't think of his name right now, but one of the commentators, he kind of mentioned that he had talked to a GM, and the GM had kind of mentioned that he thought Shador was on the level of Kenny Pickett. So that just gotta take you for what it is, man. But I mean, people online are screaming racism and collusion. No, it ain't that. They didn't watch Colorado football last year. It's just simple and plain. I was interested to see where he was gonna go, but I understand it's a deep draft. Hell, you got running backs. Shit, tomorrow, running backs will be going off the board like crazy. Watch the running backs that start flying off. Like the kid from Oklahoma State, the kid from Kansas. Man, it's going to be a lot of good running backs. Teams that need to get their running game shored up, they will be showing up their run game tomorrow. And there's still D linemen and some secondary guys that haven't went off the board. So tomorrow's going to be an interesting day. Let me know your thoughts on the first round. Did your team get a pick that you thought could improve the chances of them making it to the Super Bowl, make it to the playoffs? Let me know below. Till next time, folks. Peace.